Hello everybody out there in YouTube land. This is Good Times for All, or Zachary Zabala here if you prefer. Right off, I would like to start by telling you not to believe anything I am saying. Please go do the research for yourself and draw your own conclusions. This is the best way to know that what you believe is what you believe. In this video, we will be taking a look at the different flat earth models and some of the misunderstandings we are seeing spread about. The truth is that if you already prescribe to any model, it is a philosophical belief, unless you have been well beyond the walls of Antarctica and at least as far as the moon. We are going to look at what we see in reality and how it takes place on a flat, motionless plane. There are many questions I have no answers to, and I'm not ashamed to say this. I would be ashamed, however, of making things up to prove a theory. This only sets us back as a species and does more damage the more these false concepts are accepted. First off, we will take a look at the model at which we can actually measure. This is called the azimuthal equidistant projection and is used the world over for navigation by all military and government agencies alike. Most of the UN agencies use it as part of their logo. I do not claim it to be 100% correct in any way, but it appears to be the most accurate projection of where we live to date. Antarctica is around us in every direction. The sun, moon, and planets move in spiral graphing formations above the Earth, while the stars themselves make perfect circles around the geographical North Pole, or Polaris, in the sky. Polaris, or Stella Polaris as it was named by Ptolemy in 149 AD, is Latin for the words pole star. It was given this name because it's set above the geographic North Pole, where it still resides to this very day. I found it odd that none of the star charts from Ptolemy's supposed time had Polaris at the center, even though he named it the pole star. Now we will be looking at the edges, since most of the questions start there. We have all seen pictures of water falling off the edge of the land. Nobody believes this as far as I know. This is merely an illustration to make an idea appear crazy. It is more commonly known as disinformation, used by many governments around the world. Many ancient cultures believed the earth to be flat with a dome overhead. Some believed it to be on a turtle's back supported by elephants. Some to be supported by a great tree, while others had it supported on pillars. Some even believed the earth and sky to be alive themselves. The one thing they all have in common is the flat plane with a dome overhead. Today, if you start wherever you are and head outward or south, you will run into this, the Antarctic ice wall. An unimaginably long wall of ice holding in the waters as far as the eye can see. Now, I have not circumnavigated Antarctica to assure you this wall encompasses the whole Earth, but it would make sense with the circling sun only ever reaching so far south. What lies beyond that is a nature preserve that cannot be owned by any corporation or government since the late 1950s. There is a UN treaty in place which prevents anyone carrying any significant amount of fuel to go past the 60th degree south latitude without permission, making exploration nearly impossible. If you were able to go exploring there, you would find a mountain of ice that goes up 2 miles and plateaus off. What is beyond this mountain is beyond me. Some theorize the ice to go on forever, with many ponds with their own suns, infinite plane theory. Some believe there to be a domed edge that we cannot get past. I do not claim to have any idea what is out there, and that is about all I can say about the edge. Now we will take a look at the water which the land is surrounded by. If we lived on a sphere with a radius of 3,959 miles, the water should curve at 8 inches per mile squared. Here is a table based off the Pythagorean formula of a Earth-sized sphere. Now this is not what we would see in reality anyways. You also have to take into account for the height of your eyes from the flat plane you are standing on. The higher you go, the further you can see due to the laws of perspective. This has been understood for quite some time now, and any book on perspective and how the eye works can explain it to you very simply. The problem is that nowhere can we find the supposed curve at the rate that we are told it should be. We do see bottoms of buildings cut off at one time and clearly visible just hours later. This is a view I had seen hundreds of times before that I was told I had never actually seen. This was taken when I had first gotten my camera and didn't quite know how to use it yet. So it is a bit fuzzy, but there should only be 12 buildings visible from this distance. I am at the Michigan City Lighthouse, and I was about 8 feet off the water. The Willis Tower is 38.8 miles away. There should be over 800 feet of curvature blocking the bottom of the buildings, and many of those buildings are only 500 feet tall. NASA claims at 66,000 feet you can start to see the curve. Yet, there have been many balloon launches reaching over 100,000 feet and show no signs of curvature at all when not using a GoPro fisheye lens. How does the sun set on a flat Earth? This information will tell us that flat earthers believe the sun, moon, planets, and stars go under the Earth at night. But we all know that that is quite ridiculous. What one needs to understand is that the sun, moon, stars, and planets are all much smaller and much closer to the Earth than we have been told. When the luminaries appear to set behind the curvature of the Earth, they are actually just moving beyond the vanishing point. It all has to do with the laws of perspective. Many claim the sun and moon are spheres floating only a few thousand miles overhead, around 30 miles in diameter. This I do not agree with. We only ever see one side of either of them throughout the day. If it were the case, I would think we would see one side on the approach and the other as it was departing. This is not the case. The moon is well known as only being able to see one side, just as the sun. Here are some of my observations I have made on both of them over a single passing. They both appear to rotate clockwise in the northern hemisphere as they pass by overhead. You can get the same effect by attaching a plate to a ceiling fan and standing within inside the diameter. As you turn the ceiling fan, you will see the marks on the plate appear the exact same way as the sunspots did. Another thing I observed is that the sun and moon both appear to be the same size in the sky. The stars in the night sky, however, seem to be stuck in place in relation to each other, as the constellations have never changed for thousands of years. They appear to move in perfect circles around the geographic North Pole. This is where Stella Polaris, as we talked earlier, resides in the sky, very close to the center. There is much debate on what takes place in the southern hemisphere, for I have never been there and never collected data down there, so I cannot really comment. I have seen both rotations and non-rotations in the sky. I will do a separate video on this matter, and that's all I will say about this. So there is the basic models and what is accepted by most, or as I believe. There are different concepts on the edges and what is above us, but the core concepts stay the same. I would like to add that not everyone prescribes to a dome model. Although many believe that there is something up there, whether it be a solid structure or some force, there are those who believe that it may just be open space. I have and will continue to attempt to do multiple experiments to help understand this world in which we live in. I am currently working on a setup for a gyroscope experiment. I am also taking observations with my sextant of the sun and comparing them with the U.S. Naval Observatory in Washington. All that I have learned in the last 2 years has pointed me to one thing, that we do not live on a spinning sphere. This has made life so much more interesting. I would like to thank all of you who are on this journey with me. Please keep putting in your 2 cents and your comments everywhere, because none of us really know yet. And the more ideas we have, the better chance we'll have to figure this all out. To those who are purposely deceiving others, I also say thank you. Without such blatant lying by so many of you, it has opened up the eyes of others to see that there are those who are trying to hide this through deception, disinformation, and straw man arguments. So thank you. Thank you very much. It wakes more people up than you possibly know. I hope this helped answer some of the basic questions. If you have any ideas for what to cover next, it would be much appreciated. This is Good Times for All signing out. If you have made it this far, as always, thanks for watching.